Well, I was looking into a different platform for my kids so that they didn't have to recreate the hand and paper method. In forensics, since we do a lot of labs, we probably do about 40 something labs in the year. The paper method was a little bit too tedious and didn't have as much educational value for the kids in recreating it. So I was looking for something different, and since our school is a Chromebook school, I was also looking for something that would fit that platform and a digital platform. So I started searching, Google searching, and looking around to try to find out what I can do, and came across some different schools using some electronic lab notebooks. So I just went into a little bit further research and figured out that I wanted a digital lab notebook, and that's how I started using it. The challenges and objectives that I was trying to address when I moved to the lab notebook was paper and pen. So since we were moving to a digital world, a technological world, a place in which, technology is everything, I wanted to try to move away from the paper and pen, the old school lab notebooks. Plus, my kids were spending a lot of time just trying to create or recreate what I had given them into their lab notebooks so that they could engage in lab. And with the use of electronic lab notebook, it was easy for me to just give them the content, and they spent more time in lab and can do more things. I actually was doing a Google search for some electronic lab notebooks and came across LabArchives and went into a little bit further research, looked at some videos, looked at some comments, looked at some teacher comments. I believe it was actually a Holy Innocents teacher or another teacher somewhere else in the same Georgia area that intrigued me to try it out, because I looked at their testimonial and decided that, hey, this is probably a good thing, since, one of my neighbors, somebody living in Atlanta, Georgia, one of my neighbors is actually using this equipment. So I just researched it and went into more detail about it and tried to figure out what I could learn about it and to make it mine. Oh, the grading. I used to have to lug home 25, and that was just one class, 25 thick composition notebooks. And that would just be for, 1 to 2 labs, and it's 100 pages in a composition notebook or something like that, 100 pages in the composition notebook, and I was only looking at 2 to 3 of them at a time. And my class of 25, well, currently I have 3 classes of 25, that's 75. So it was just way too much paper and way too much lugging. I got stronger lugging all those composition notebooks, but actually I really enjoy the grading. I actually downloaded the app on my phone, so I was grading on my phone while I was sitting at a basketball game or a football game or something like that. If I was just out, if I needed to catch up on something, if a student had a question about something, I could access it easily on my phone and respond to their email. So it was just instantaneous. So I love the fact that I could grade online. It's instantaneous feedback. They see my comments. They see what I'm looking at, what I'm marking off for. And the biggest thing is that I don't want those composition notebooks. I don't have to carry them. My kids absolutely love the fact that it was a digital platform. So when I first get to class, I showed them where we came from as a forensics class in the big, thick composition notebooks versus where we were going as a forensics class. With the digital platform, and they don't really understand it, but they could recognize and understand that they don't have to add another book to their backpack or in their locker, something else for them to lose. If they have their Chromebook, since we are a Chromebook school, if they have their Chromebook, then they essentially have access to their electronic lab notebook. And with that, they also have access on their phone. So they absolutely love the digital aspect of it. They love the fact that we incorporated pictures into our labs. We incorporated, since we are a Google school, the Google Share items, so Google Docs, Google Sheets, all the Google platforms, Google items, they were able to share with each other, and they really enjoyed it. So how my material was transferred over into LabArchives was, in the beginning, I first imported a couple of documents, and then I had some student helpers, some student aides that, since again we are a Google school, we have Google Share items, Google Docs, that they took all of my paper labs and my paper items and they began to essentially recreate them into these Google Share Docs. And then I would take the Google Share Docs and copy, cut, and paste them over into LabArchives, arranging them how I wanted with the headers and the footers, or if I wanted to add a picture, or if I wanted to add a spreadsheet or anything like that. I would just arrange them in LabArchives after my student helpers would recreate my paper labs. Absolutely. I've noticed a big improvement with my students' engagement, because as I said before, when it was paper model of labs, they were spending more time recreating the labs into their lab notebook than they were spending in lab. And now with the use of the electronic lab notebook, since the lab is already there for them, they are definitely more engaged because they can add pictures. I've added pictures to my lab procedures. They can add graphs. I've added more analysis questions dealing with those graphs. So it's an enrichment activity too. It's enrichment for them. They absolutely are more engaged, and I believe they love lab more. It's not tedious and tiresome like some of the other labs. And with forensics, since we're kind of different anyway, we don't really have to follow the rules, so to speak. We can kind of do our own thing a little bit. And they really do like all of the labs that we have going on, and the fact that they have free reign to bring in something else. They can go search something on the internet. They can go take a picture. They can put a classmate's picture into that space and compare like their results to the classmates' results. They've actually done all of that. Graphs, PDFs, all kind of stuff. Yes, I would absolutely recommend LabArchives to another instructor. As a matter of fact, I'm about to share my LabArchives with an instructor so that she can also benefit from the hard work and labor that me and my student aides have already put forth. She does not have to recreate the wheel. So I absolutely would recommend it because it just makes life easier. Digital platform makes life easier to grade, which as teachers we don't like grading, so easier to grade, easier to understand, more enrichment, more engagement, activities, even more labs. Even though I do some 40-something odd labs in a year, you could probably still even fit even more labs in and have the content and the engagement with the students. LabArchives has definitely exceeded my expectation. As this is my 5th year using it, it's kind of like, if it's not broke, you don't have to fix it. Don't recreate the wheel. I really like the fact that all my labs from year to year, they're already there. They're already in my digital platform. I can just go in and tweak. I can go in and fix. I can go in and update. And when I update, it's immediate. So if I had a mistake last year and I wanted to fix that, I fixed it last year for this year, so those same kids don't see that same mistake that I made. So it's instantaneous fixing. So it definitely has exceeded my expectation. I was just expecting a digital notebook kind of with the Word platform kind of Word where you just kind of type some things in so you can answer some questions. I did not expect the pictures. I did not expect videos. I did not expect that I'd be able to input or import anything that was shareable, especially with the Google platform and the Google Drive options and the pictures with all of that. I did not expect that I was going to get to do all that. And the more and more that I use it, I find something new every time I use it, because from year to year you're consumed with what's going on that year. You're consumed with the lab that year and what you did last year, and you're looking to make it better. So my kids, they're all very technological. They're all very tech savvy, and because they're tech savvy, they go in and they explore things and they actually show me some new stuff, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was there. Well, let's try it out. Let's see what happens. Well, let's just do it anyway and do an experiment and find out how it works. So I like it. Every single year I learn something new, something different, something to enhance and enrich my kids. I have a very high regard for LabArchives.